spaghetti and stiff upper lip.
Liver.
You ready to lay down?
Yep.
All right, 7:02, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting for June the 10th. First order of business, pecuniary interest regarding the agenda. I don't see any in there. Don't believe anybody has any. So, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, motion to.
Yeah, I'd move to accept as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. All right, so the very first item on there is the Duke County Intermunicipal Assessment Review Board. Say, Donna, you want to comment on that for us?
I can, Your Worship. So basically what we've done is provided council with this agreement, which is Assessment Review Board and Regional. That's actually intermunicipal. Calmar can't be with us at this time because they signed on to the Edmonton Regional. And at the time, quite a few years, just 3 years ago, it's a bit of a deuce getting out of it. So they will be joining us when they get out of that agreement. So there's a comment in here that we're waiting an answer from Calmar, and that's the answer. It's too costly to get out of it.
I thought it was all being entirely revamped and restructured and more or less disbanded and reformed, so I don't know, it surely can't be that costly to get out of it. It's being disbanded and then reformed, is it not?
Well, you're right, that's the one thing I asked them about, and they...
Right now, it's in a weird limbo as far as I understand.
It is, and they've still got, I think, 2 or 3 years in their contract, and if they get out now, that board, or that group, I'll say it that way, is charging them to get out.
But it's like literally being dismantled so that it can be reformed.
Yeah, but for some reason...
That's weird, okay?
I know, they're not...
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me,
It
but
doesn't.
I'll just go with it either way.
Me too, that's what I do
Okay.
too. I said I would fight them on it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't directly affect us, so I'm just gonna nod and agree, but I don't understand that one bit.
Yeah, it doesn't, and they have to pay for hearings, way more than this. They have to pay for a whole bunch of things. They have to pay a membership fee every year, and so that's why they're not in this. It's not because they don't like us. So I just wanted to make that clear. So basically, the Duke County, their Governance and Priorities Committee reviewed the new agreement. So you have that new agreement. Just basically, they've and you have the red line agreement of the bylaw there as well. The administration has no real big issue with the Regional Assessment Review Board agreement. We've taken a look at it. I ran through it again today, and it's a lot clearer than the old agreement that is. Let me see, it was 2010. So this is a way better agreement, and a better set of definitions, better understanding of partner municipality responsibilities than the clerk. And our clerk, Jesse, is going to be taking the training as well, because they want a clerk coming out of each municipality to take their turn, or in case the main clerk can't do it from the county, which I think is a great idea. It really clarifies the clerk's responsibilities. It clarifies the remuneration with respect to the board members. And the only question I had tonight, it just struck me, was the clerk is paid $50, billed at $50 per hour, and I just want to find out, when it's billed and it's invoiced, does that come back as to the municipality for expenses? The host municipality that has created the appeal, does that go somewhere else? So it's just not really quite clear on your 8 remuneration. It's not a big deal, but it's a question that I want to have clarified. It's really clear on the complaint fee, so whichever municipality puts in the complaint, they keep the filing fee, but that municipality is responsible to get all the documentation to the clerk and so forth. And again, this is for assessments only. So if we have a claim, and I think we've had one for sure that's paid. I think there's another the other day that did. Anyways, they get a hearing. So other than that, the general term and review, I'd rather have this reviewed more often than not, and it's just a typical dispute resolution and so forth. So I don't personally have, on behalf of the administration, have a big issue with the agreement. Now the bylaw, the red line portion of the bylaw, because you have to have a bylaw for this, the original bylaw is now redlined. You can see some of the changes they made. I reviewed all these red lines too, and I didn't really add anything to it, simply because the bylaw is very clear, and it matches the, agreement, which is really supposed to. It should be, in parallel with each other. And it does talk about the qualifications of the members. So you have to be trained and have to have your certificate and so forth, and your terms of appointment. It does have, you know, what the chair is gonna do, what the clerk's gonna do. There's a lot of red, inside the reimbursement of costs on page 18 to 39 of the package. Basically half day of 85 and a full day of 170. And that's in line, but it's, you know, there's a lot of work to do for that amount. Sorry, Tom, go ahead, Lori.
So, yeah, it's probably not even really relevant to include in our kind of amended change for Thorsby version of the bylaw. But as a matter of like policy, we should, by default, I feel like, be setting it so that ideally the next mayor would be appointing whoever the two people are for the full term of office, not on a yearly basis, because there is the cost of training and such. It is kind of it's a hassle getting to the training sessions. They're only sporadically offered, and it is kind of a to-do getting those courses. And then if you switch out and halfway through the term or whatever, somebody is you know, rotated through, and then we have to go through the whole process again and spend several $100s in costs. I don't know, just as a matter of policy internally, I guess we should try to come up with something for that to try to steer the next mayor in the right direction when they're making that appointment.
Perfect. And
It hasn't really came up as an issue
no, before.
but I mean, it just is a big expense if we are rotating through all the time.
Yeah, and I do see, I do have in my notes here, I want the definition of regional defined so that it identifies all the municipalities. So, that's just a minor red line, issue.
On the first document,
Yeah,
it says the Regional Assessment Review Board is between Leduc County, Town of Calmar, Town of Thorsby, and Village of Warburg.
right, that's on the agreement.
Oh, that's the agreement.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in the and that's great. Usually in a bylaw, you want that definition of regional as well, right inside the bylaw. So that's just the definition of regional there.
Okay.
Is not there, which is fine, that's a minor thing. And then, I see what you're saying, Councilor Carney, number 5, appointment of board members.
Yeah, like ideally it would be, I mean, obviously the next council can supersede it and vote to ignore us either way, but we should really be setting something to at least encourage them to stick with the appointment for the term, just to save, I mean, it's quite a lot of cost.
Well, exactly, and there's a lot of study to do on this. If it's like an SDAB board, right?
Well, exactly, you have to go through quite a process to get qualified, and then if you're switching every year, I mean, it's gonna take you 6 months to get to the course, and then spend a bunch of money on the course and sending someone on it, all to have them switch out again.
Yep.
Bessie, that's all?
Sorry, I will include all these as notes, the things that we identify from their bylaw, when our bylaw comes up, during the regular, because I haven't gotten the template back from them yet.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't have our bylaw in here.
Yeah.
But I would just like to remind that this is Leduc County bylaw.
Yes, and I'm assuming we're mostly just gonna be swapping out Leduc County for the town of Thorsby, right, so.
Just reminding, but I'll take notes and have those things in hours as well.
That's great, yeah. We'll pick this one apart, it gives you more time to add in the changes. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of all, that I noticed. I don't know if the CFO, Cindy, noticed, if you noticed anything on any of this, Cindy, that we may have missed?
Oh, you're muted?
Oh.
I muted myself. And the answer is no.
I was just going to say on number 10, terms of appointment, it says unless otherwise stated, all members are appointed for a 3-year term.
Yeah, and I think we need to go till the end of their term.
Yeah, because it's the term of all the.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
so I'm just pointing out that that's what it says there.
Yeah.
But if it's to say 4 years, that's a great idea.
Well, like I say, it takes 6 months just to find a spot on one of the courses sometimes.
Yeah, it does, exactly. And too, if you're not familiar with assessments, or it's not your thing, or you're
It
not.
can be a big learning curve, yeah.
It's huge, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we don't have any more issues as administration with any of this, but, we love the changes for sure. We appreciate that.
Okay, so if council has any other, changes or any clarifications, we'll bring it back on the 24th.
That is correct, sir.
So,
We'll have another copy of this on red line
Right.
and in keeping with us. And so then if we have any changes, it's easier to read it from a Thorsby perspective, so.
sounds good. So, just a motion to accept this agreement for information.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Carried. All right. Okay.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, though, for this, it's not actually expected or required that the two individuals appointed be members of council. It could be any person
Right,
council saw fit. It could be other than council as well.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, correct, yeah, yeah. And there could be, you know, folks on the new council that go, oh, I don't want any part of this, right? And so we find.
Well, just, yeah, it's kind of a learning curve, and there's kind of some stuff that goes along with it. If, yeah, it's kind of open to whoever. Like, if, I don't know, Ken wants to volunteer to do it, and they want to appoint Ken because he's already done the training and just has to do a refresher,
Yeah.
I guess it's all, I feel, as far as I remember, that's all right with this
That's
next
right,
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't sure if this was that, one of those or not.
Yeah, this is, SDAB board is not,
Yeah.
that's the difference, yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right, moving on, we'll get into the, council reports. I guess start with mine first. So during the month of May, we had our special, land use, meeting there on May the 1st, attended by council, our meeting. And we resolved all the things there, I believe, Donna. So then, on, May the 3rd, I attended Arctic Spaw's 30-year anniversary. That was kind of a neat little deal there. And, ended fairly early though. But, Kelly did a great job getting everything in there, and the band was good. People that stayed, had a great time. So I know my wife didn't wanna go, and then she didn't wanna go home.
I think I saw the mirror dancing.
All right. 13th, we had our, council whole. The 17th, we had our long weekend in May. We had the parade. There was ball games, the complex, following the parade. The parade was pretty good. Had a lot of comments on there. I don't know, anywhere from, I guess, 500 to 1,000 people probably.
Yeah,
Running the streets.
yeah, somewhere in there, 500 to 600 for
It
sure.
was, quite, when we left the stockyards, you didn't really think there was that many, and then all of a sudden you got downtown and they were lined up everywhere, so it was good. And, Kelly, thank you very much for the, stuff at the complex. I think the kids had a great time. I've never seen, the kids were lined up everywhere, just,
Crazy, yeah.
yeah, it was great, it was good. The weather cooperated, so, all in all, it was pretty good. 23rd, I went to, kind of a wrap-up for Mike Lake over at the, Rig Hand Brewery there. It was, a lot of, dignitaries there, and, it's kind of a wrap-up of his campaign, and he made a few promises. He's gonna come out and see us a little bit more, so hopefully he does. And then on the 27th, I had a regular meeting. That was about it for me. Any other questions? No? Corey?
Okay, well, yeah, the first week and a half, essentially first 2 weeks of the month, I was in Disneyland for Grayson's birthday, so I did not do really anything relating to the town, because, you know, it's not a whole lot in California that comes up for Thorsby, but there was, like you say, the 17th, there was the parade and all that. That was fun. We, after the parade, went and checked out the rec center. It was really good. I agree. I had lots of good comments while I was there. People were really happy with what we had going there. So, you know, good job. Thanks. After that, I had the Leduc SCSS meeting on the 21st. Nothing hugely consequential, just some, you know, the typical updates. Most of which you guys do get the emails for as well, as far as the different programming and events and all that. On the 22nd, I had got invited to a virtual meeting as part of the AB Muni's governance committee for the municipal sustainability review process, and some suggested kind of revamps of that. it was initiated by the previous minister, and then between when the meeting got scheduled and it actually happened, there was a new minister, so I don't know, we'll see if it ever amounts to anything, but they were beginning the process of looking at that. I think the big concern being there's a kind of an acknowledged and defined process for if, say, Thorsby were to be insolvent and need to no longer be its own independent municipality to dissolve into the county. That's kind of an understood, metric. There's a known variable there of what has to happen. If you start looking at larger municipalities dissolving into a county, or a county being no longer solvent, what happens then? Those have never really been defined, and both have a lot of hiccups that could go along with. So the fact that they were asking those questions made me wonder which counties and or large municipalities are making them so concerned, but it was definitely a question that was being asked. So
Justin would be one.
that's a prime example, where yes, if you take a population of that size and dissolve it into the county, it throws out the entire electoral system of that whole region, right? It skews everything. It's not like here where, okay, well, Ray has a few extra, people in his ward, and Tanny has a few extra in her ward, and we're all happy. It takes a population that's the size of the county's population, and suddenly to drop it into one spot, how do you deal with that? So, that's some of the things they were starting to look at. Like I say, what comes of it, who knows, because there's a ministerial change in between. So, that afternoon, then I had the LRHF board, which was pretty cut and dry. There's not a whole lot of anything new happening, given that it is elections coming up. So that's kind of slowing down anything too substantial for most things. And other than that, it was just the regular meeting there at the end of the month. So that's it for me.
All right. Questions, Andrew? No? All right. Tracy?
All right. So I attended all regularly scheduled council meetings for the month of May. May 1st, as Daryl said, was a special meeting for land use bylaw. May 3rd, I bartended at the Arctic Spa's 30th anniversary. May 5th, I attended the 4-H beef show and a Communities in Bloom meeting. May 6th, I attended library meeting. May 9th, I did Commissioners of Oath and a glow party at the complex. The glow party at the complex was, I believe, an introduction into experiencing the glow party theme for a birthday party. And it was very well done. There was black curtains up because of the concert that had been in there, the Arctic Spas, and the black lights, and there was all sorts of glow-in-the-dark tape and balloons and balls and all sorts of things. And it was really, really fantastic, and there was music, and the kids were to dance and play in the dark and with the glow stuff. And the only disappointing thing was there was essentially 2 kids there. So it was a fantastic opportunity to see this and experience this. But I think those kids that were there had a really great time, and maybe it can be offered again, and maybe kids will come, I don't know. But that's what the glow party was about. And May 13th, I did Commissioner of Oaths. May 16th, plant swap with CIB and the Rec Department. May 17th, participated in May-long weekend parade and activities. Bartended at the beer gardens for the Chamber of Commerce. May 18th, I did day 2 of bartending at the beer gardens. May 22nd, I was bingo paymaster. May 26th, planted annuals at the Taylor Park and Hope Gardens. May 29th, I did Commissioner of Oaths. And most of the details in the report were done as volunteer, wanting to contribute to our community in a positive way.
Thank you for that. Questions? No? Motion to accept the council reports for info?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? That's carried. All right. CEO reports. Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Your Worship. So May was a busy month. They're busy now because the weather's good. So I was very pleased to MC the Volunteer Appreciation Evening at the Community Hall. And about 120 volunteers were present at the evening, with party beats providing the entertainment, and the food was from Carol Colebrook and her team and received rave reviews. The whole night was a lot of fun, actually. Council attended attended the council workshop, I got that backwards here, with Liz Armitage as our planner regarding the land use bylaw revision. These council workshops are not mandatory, but they're very important whenever you're changing out a land use bylaw. And so we reviewed each section. Council provided their input on any amendments or changes, and all those changes have been incorporated. So the next thing will be to bring it to council. Also met with the CAO and CalMAR to discuss the process for a rehire of the new peace officer. We do have a candidate, and we will introduce that candidate probably the middle of July. It takes about a month for them to get their appointment from Solicitor General, so we thought, why have them sit at a desk? It's a regional candidate, so let them get paid by their host municipality, which is fine to do that. And then as soon as their appointment comes through, they've resigned, and then will come here. So that's good. I think you'll like the new CPO. May 22nd, Planner Liz and I hosted an open house for the land use bylaw to educate and receive suggestions and comments from the public regarding the bylaw. We had some very nice suggestions. Was attended and advertised appropriately as we need to and in line with the legislation for this type of bylaw. We had 4 folks come in of the public who were very interested in learning about the bylaw, and we had some nice discussions, so that was good. Province Alberta Flood Study Team met virtually with me regarding their duties, where they'll be, and what they'll be doing regarding Weed Creek. The study will certainly assist with our emergency management manuals in case there's a high flood at some time in the future, some sort of overland flood. They're in the middle of the study right now. They've been all over Weed Creek, and they're moving. They don't need to go to our intake, but they're just following the Weed Creek area. I did talk to them, though, about Thorsby has overland flooding that comes from the lake this way. And they said they hadn't heard of that before. I said, I would like it mentioned in your report, and I granted there might be another study that has to happen, but I said we need to look at that, because that affects how Thorsby functions, and we've already had experience with that. And they've never heard of that before, so I showed them, where to go to look for pictures and so on and so forth. Select Engineering, CB Max, our contractors, Public Works Team, Arctic Spa, CO and CFO. We met on May 27th for the kickoff project meeting regarding the installation of bulk water station. We'll have construction updates through the engineer to me for council and public. And at the time I typed it, should be starting in another week. CB Max and engineers and our Public Works team were at the South Reservoir inside last Thursday and Friday doing some work and doing some tuning with the pumps and communications along with Dave, so they're already in there. I attended the webinar as invited by the Senior Veterinarian for the province of Alberta to discuss the changes to the Animal Protection Act. 60 municipalities and First Nations were on the call, provided good feedback and a discussion. Many definitions need to be clarified. There's a requirement for more enforcement of places to put animals that require rescue. I sent a subsequent note 2 days ago to which the veterinarian got back to me, and I said a couple things. Number one, you're asking us to seize animals, but they have to stay where they're at. It's still in the abusive situation. So I said, if you've got cattle, livestock, and that, they can't stay where they're at and still be looked after, because if they're in an abusive situation, nobody's going to look after them. So how do you handle that? Do you not have something that you've thought of where we can move these animals? The province can move these animals if they're seized to a place where they can be rehabilitated or veterinary care and so forth. They haven't thought of that. I also said to them that from a peace officer standpoint in this province, just about every municipality has a community peace officer, but they need training in the Animal Protection Act, and they need training in how to deal with livestock that are sick and all that, because the CPOs are the first online. You're not going to get a brand inspector to help out for at least 2 to 3 weeks. You won't get fish and wildlife because they're not wildlife, and you certainly may not get the RCMP. So it relies on the community peace officers to look after this, which is fine. They're capable, they have the appointments to do that, but there's not enough SPCA folks, and throughout the webinar they were kind of getting CPO1 and CPO2 mixed up, and I found they had to put up my hand. There's no CPO2s. They're more of an administrative function. You have to look at your CPO1s, which would be like we had here with CPO Dayon. And they're not paying attention enough to the fines and to how do you help these animals, whether they be domestic or livestock. I said to them, I know for a fact there's animals suffering for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. By the time you get to them, you don't want to see them. And I said, that's got to stop. So if you're going to create an act, two things have to happen. You have to have a place to put them, a timely response, and fines or whatever that are going to absolutely stop this stuff that's happening. So Head Vet got back to me and said, we haven't considered that. So we'll see what they do with it, but we made our thoughts known on that in a respectful way. Donated land for the Legion is at land titles now, so we're just waiting for that to change over, probably in another week, I'm thinking. And of course, we're working with the Legion on the grant for submission in December, and we'll assist with the grant, but the Legion is designing, and I'm going to give a shout out here to Kevin, because he's helping them with scaling their design into that lot, so he's volunteering his time for that, so I appreciate that. We're working with the properties that are taking up a great deal of time regarding unsightly, regarding trespass, and grass. So we're getting compliance. We're going to probably have some outside contractors come in for 2 properties. It won't be fun, won't be nice, but we'll handle it, we'll deal with it. The neighbors have had it, and rightfully so. So the order has been served, so now we have to wait the 21 days, and then we'll have to get a contractor in to clean up a very serious issue. The remediation takes some time, but we're working on the properties, and we've identified just about all of them around town. Some aren't going to need heavy enforcement, just take this down, clean this up, fix this, and you can do a lot of work with chatting with folks. The clippings pile, as you know, we put the fence up and it's still closed. Alex Bowman will be here towards the end of this week, taking all those trees out of there. We'll open it up again for the senior citizens and so forth for the rest of the year, and for folks that just need to dump their waste. We're also put out, and this kind of segues into the RFP for the new solid waste contract. We are just going through that now and making some changes in direction, and or some changes in wording and so forth. We are asking the new contractor, whoever that is, to put in the green bins so that people can put their yard waste in the green bins and it gets hauled away. So depending on what that cost is and so forth. So, and I've had a chance to talk to you, Councilor Corey, about some of the concerns from the last contract, and we still have time. You know, if you have some concerns about why you guys switched, or your council switched from to integrity because of some other issues, I wouldn't mind chatting with you about.
Oh yeah, definitely whenever you want. There was definitely some very real, as far as we were concerned, contractual breaches on their end that they just said tough to deal with it.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Our experience was not well. They were more concerned about their IPO than they were about providing a good service.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Cindy, I'll let you know when that happens too, so you can take part in that, because you've had some good suggestions on some of the changes in this RFP. So we have to award it roughly by the end of July so that we're ready. So everything switches over. Is it September, Cindy? Switches?
Muted again.
I'm not sure exactly when it ends. I think, Jesse, is it September?
Is it September?
I want to say it's the last business day of September.
Okay.
I'll have to double check.
So, and this is a contract too that we will open the tenders and then we'll bring it to council in camera, because it's a big tender, so we have to talk about it with you folks as well. So that's the roof. And then I did they wanted me to do again, survey month again, on policing and cost of policing, and the cost of our CMP policing, and were we happy with the per capita, were we happy with the costing and so forth, and so my comments to them is that you're giving us credit for a detachment in a municipality, a small municipality. So take away the cities, the big cities. Small municipalities, a lot of them will have detachments in them. I said, but you're not giving us credit for having that detachment in here. There should be a credit based on what you're charging us. So right now we're being paid $55,000 roughly, I'm just guesstimating here. But we should get a credit because we have a detachment right here. And I said the second part is that all of our small municipalities are in big counties for the most part, and the RCMP are in the county. So we're paying a huge price for policing when they're mostly in the county. And especially if you have lakes, parks, all that sort of stuff, because that's where the problems are in the summer. And so I put in those kind of comments, because we really should get a better credit for having a detachment here. quite frankly, so,
They've at least partially reinstated the, grant in lieu of taxes, have they not?
partially,
Partially, yeah, I think it's at 50%, and then it's gonna go to 75, is it not?
I think so, yeah, yeah. Then hopefully,
Does it go to 100?
By the end of it, yeah,
By the
not
end.
right away, but,
no.
yeah.
I wish it went up to 150 in our favor, would be kind of nice. And, I think, yes, that's all I have, your worship, for, month of May. I just threw in a bit of June right now to kind of keep you up to date.
Fine. Any questions from anybody? No? All right, how about the Public Works, Donna, you wanna read that one out as well?
For sure, our new Public Works Manager and, new lead hand are busy, as you can see. A lot of heavy grass cutting, we've got 70 acres to mow, so I love it here when they said weed whacking, that's cute. We've started the hydrant flushing, but we do have to finish that, and that's on their radar to get done, this summer. We've been fixing patches, we're waiting on our cold mix, we're waiting for Alex. We might have to get another trucking company if he's too busy, but it's ready from Border, we just have to go pick it up. Street sweepers were well organized, we've been grading roads and backblading the alleys twice. Planters were put out and moved for flowers. CC valve repairs, we just did one on 778, last week, and it had been leaking for a long time, and not enough to cause any alarm with the homeowner, but it certainly made for a messy dig because it had been leaking for so long, minutely. We think it's been leaking for years, that when you dig the hole around and you put your I call it a sluice box, when you put your box around it, the hole was saturated, not that it was caving, but it was saturated, that whole thing. So we had to put the new box in, and what was interesting about that one was we had to change the valve live. We couldn't shut the water off. If we would have, we'd have shut off. The way our system is set up, we had, Madison would have been shut off, and so would most of 778, including the downtown.
So it's got that.
Yeah. No, actually, he didn't. I watched it. I was fascinated. It's probably 9 minutes that it took him to change that. And of course, the vac truck's there, right? It's sucking it out as fast. But there's still a lot of water that's pumping out of there. And he changed that live, had it tightened down, and it didn't leak in about 8 minutes. Fantastic.
Why don't we have a freeze kit?
Why don't we have
A freeze kit. Just freeze the pipe.
oh, I don't know, to be quite honest with you.
It's a very reasonably, grand scheme of things, low cost, and it's pretty,
Just closes the whole thing in there and then nothing goes.
yeah, you just have, it's like essentially a clamp that goes around a pipe, and as long as, you start talking huge diameter pipes, it's not, it's just for a service line, a 3/4 inch line or a 1 inch line, it's not a big issue. You just clamp that goes around the pipe, just carbon dioxide pumps through a hose to the clamp, and it just boils off and freezes the pipe. So as long as the water's not flowing, right? Just tell the residents to not use water for a minute or two, and it'll freeze the pipe, and then you have as long as it takes for that plug to thaw out to replace the valve before it's an issue.
Never thought of that. I'll look into that.
Yeah, it's honestly not a huge expense, they're super easy to use, they're not there's nothing, complicated or overly technical about them, I don't know.
Okay.
It's like something we probably should look into.
Good plan, thank you for that, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was, they're pretty talented, these guys, I gotta be honest. And of course, there's always lots of residents concerns about stuff, and of course, most of you saw the, post I put in about how much we're spending and this and that, and the comments were pretty good on the whole. There were some, and that's fine, you accept that, but they're always invited into the office to talk about it. And then, the guys are attending meetings due to all the projects we're having that require proper planning, doing some sewer flushing, vehicle and equipment maintenance, and we're doing, project management sheets now to get ready for the intake pumps at the river in October, Thanksgiving weekend. So what Cindy and I are gonna do is we're gonna make sure that, all the pump technicians and everybody knows what the grant is, what they can do, what's covered, what isn't, who's doing what to who and to what on a certain day and time. So working on that right now, so everybody has it. And of course, vehicle and equipment maintenance, which is pretty normal. And that's it from our new Public Works team.
All right, thank you. And I see they've been busy on the boulevard.
They have been busy on the boulevard. It is now seeded. It is fertilized. It's getting its second watering, I think, tonight. Yeah, it's getting its second watering. So it's had 3 waterings today already, and it's getting watered for 2 weeks, so, yeah, it's good. And, I want to shout out to, I'm gonna get this wrong, what is, McEwen?
McEwen's, yeah.
McEwen's, yeah, McEwen's, where we get the seed, they lent us two of their tillers. So we could get in that boulevard and create the rows, and, basically, bunch it up enough so that seed will stay in the rows once it's watered. So, we reciprocated today and dropped off some, wonderful, what do you call them? Declares. And gift card and a nice thank you card from council and staff and administration for lending us these. And, he said it wasn't necessary, so I said, that's fine, I'll take it back. And you know, so anyway, it was really wonderful to have them do that, so it was much appreciated.
Where is McEwen's out of?
They're Ray Agro, they're the one between Kelmer and Leduc on the highway there.
Yeah.
They used to be Ray Agro, and now they're McEwen's.
Yeah, Paul asked me if I knew McEwen's. I said, I know McEwen's out of Red Deer, because they have the big SO plants and stuff, and when I used to do that job a long time ago in Rimby, we used to code this back and forth from McEwen's out of Red Deer, so. Anyway, a lot of fun joining with Paul today. We started talking politics, and that's all I'm saying, and nobody can make me say anything else.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Public Works, anybody? All right, Parks and Recs, Kelly.
All right. For the month of May, our active memberships were 126 for this past month. Only 6 of them were Arctic Spa employees. Sam's Butterfly Exhibit was actually super popular. We had like people constantly checking in on it. It was pretty neat to see them cocoon and not hatch, but I don't know, become butterflies. They released them on June 5th at the complex, and so she's already planning what she's gonna grow and give birth to next year, so watch for that. It's interesting because I think like last year we did the chickens and then this year the butterflies, and the kids love it, but really it's the seniors and the adults that come to the complex and they're coming in and checking it out, so it's kind of neat.
They're pretending that they're just bringing their kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a cat can give birth in there next year.
Maybe. She's got an idea, so. Our Stay and Play Mom and Tots group that's going strong. Tomorrow is the last one before they break for the summer season. They have a special guest presentation that Leduc County, I think, is bringing in for Kimochi. I think it's about helping children deal with emotions. So there's a bunch of stuff that's ready for that. We do have a mom and another volunteer that are gonna kind of keep the informal group going over the summer, because there are some that want to continue meeting. So we're gonna provide the space and the coffee for them, but it'll be much more informal kind of moms and tots. So May 16th, as Councillor Tracy mentioned, we partnered with CIB for the Great Plant Exchange. This was really Rachel's program, and she took the lead on connecting with CIB and bringing it to life, helping to bring it to life, and it was great. I'm sure it'll gain momentum every year too, because it was a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was well received.
Yeah, it was neat. And the leftovers there were some leftovers, they were all picked up the next day after May Long weekend, after the parade. So, the 17th, we had the May Long party at the rec, huge success. Thankfully, the weather helped, because we really didn't want to move it inside. We had inflatables all over the place, and honestly, we had adults on all of them. It was kind of funny, especially the bungee cord, because they were pushed back, and it was fun. But yeah, lots of stuff going on, lots of good reviews, and I think all the community groups that were involved with it did really well. Like, I've never seen a grad barbecue line that long before in my life, and the food was delicious too. So. The following weekend, we hosted a babysitting certification course at the complex. And then May 31st, Rachel had another program for spring mushroom hunts on the trail. We had 11 different members come out from the community to participate in that, and it was really good, a lot of fun, and yeah, they found mushrooms and learned what was safe, what was not, etc. So The summer programs have been planned. Sam has a really exciting summer plan this year. They've been launched to the community and we just opened registration today for them. So I attached a calendar on my report just so that you can kind of see the outline of what's going on, but she's got lots of fun trips and activities and I don't know, should be a good summer. I submitted a CFEP expression of interest for the large grant application for the complex. So they've changed the process for this, so now you have to do an expression of interest, and if you get accepted, then you can actually formally apply for the grant. So that was submitted middle of May, and we should find out by June 15th if we are successful or not. That will be a partnership with Thorsby Minor Hockey.
So Kelly, on that, I haven't been able to get a hold of our new tourism business.
Oh, shoot, okay.
And I'm just wondering if it's too late or not, or whether I should talk to him.
No, if you can, because it's,
Okay, I'll try again tomorrow, and I'll give him a call.
Yeah, that would be awesome, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, MLA Bochenko is now the Minister of Sport and Tourism, so this grant definitely applies under him. Yeah, that would help give us a little boost.
See what I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, I'll talk to you before I leave.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm also working with a company called Grant Match on other granting opportunities. You know, there are things out there that we don't know about, and so if we're not successful with this CFEP one, you know, maybe we can find another avenue for funding. Building operations, we replaced the check valve on the Olympia room boiler. We have the boiler shut down now, but we're waiting for the new, I believe it's a heat exchanger. That will be still probably another few weeks out before that's in. I also had to replace the compressor and the concession prep table. We also did the annual exhaust system in the concession, so that was cleaned and certified for another year. I'm still working with AST Silversmith, so we're setting up the rec center in that asset management software. So we have pretty much the whole building loaded in the software now, but it's now I gotta go in and clean up and organize it. I don't know if you've seen it, Jess, but oh yeah, it's a little too detailed. My arena guys went a little too detailed on what they considered assets. So I have like drill batteries and screwdrivers and I'm like, so need to clean that up a bit.
How many drill batteries do we have?
Yeah, right. But you know, starting to use it, trying to upload the service records as we go and kind of learn the system and stuff. So when it's fully operational, but this will be a month-long project. Right now, we can just kind of slowly chip at it and stuff. I forgot to say on the rototiller comment or the thank you that Donna did earlier. We actually also grabbed that rototiller and Jenna did the whole playground plan. So we were able to get, she was able to get all of the broadleaf grass out of it and open it right back up to its borders. So it was really handy that it was there.
Good.
So yeah, we really appreciate it. And Jenna, I have to give a shout out, is doing an amazing job on the rec grounds. Like they just keep getting better and better right now. So she's taken over completely dragging all the ball diamonds. She's worked with baseball on a few occasions now with training on what to do, the mowing, the pruning. It's really, really awesome. So it's been great.
No complaints this year for a change.
No
Pretty good.
complaints. I'm getting lots of comments
Yeah.
or compliments and positive feedback. So yeah, it's nice.
It's really
We're
good.
seeing lots of activity in the park too, which is nice. Like
Which is
families coming and picnicking and.
Yeah. And that new gate that Lucas Muller put in, so.
I forgot.
Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
Oh, no, he just finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've opened up, we've put a gate in between us and the ag grounds. So we'll be able to lock it and keep it secure, but then we can also have it unlocked. So oftentimes when there's stuff going on at the rodeo, they're jumping the fence and coming through, like even May long weekend, it's just nice to open it up. We also had it open we had the cycling race last weekend, which, I mean, that'll be in my June report, but it's far away. That was a huge success. Last year they had 78 riders. This year they had 195.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was, and I'll tell you, like, that event is slick. It is almost zero impact on the staff. at the facility other than prepping the grounds. And they were cleaned up and gone by 9 p.m. on Saturday, and you couldn't tell they were there. Like, just so, like, they have all the volunteers in place, so efficiently run. It's a dream event for the community, but they need more camping. So this is already, like, set to become, like, it's on the international circuit, I think, and it's going to become, like, an international race. Like, I was talking with riders from all over. Like, one guy was from Montreal, and he had traveled down, up from California doing races up to come to this race, and then he was heading back down to the States, and it's pretty neat. So, so hopefully they keep it coming. It's a great little event for our community.
We're good hosts.
Yeah.
Lucas Mona stopped tonight outside with his kids here, told me put the gate in, so we were having a great talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's good, they traverse back and forth now.
Yeah.
And I know the Haymaker Center will be happy with that, the folks can park and they just come on through, right? So,
Yeah.
that's good, it's exciting.
It's awesome.
Can they park in that, or can they camp in that field there? Kim?
Yeah, they can camp in the
Okay.
Haymaker if they're not rodeoing that weekend,
Okay.
they can. So
Perfect.
that's a great alternative for them, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that same question and maybe bring in some outhouses or some
Yeah.
potable water or hand washing stations or something.
Or at the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
do that.
because lots of them are just tenting.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can fit a lot in at the Lions, like, on that, you know, if you're just tenting and stuff, but, yeah, they're pretty, not big motorhomes coming in with these guys. They're officials. We had people cycle in for the event to race, and some of the I think the longest one was 190 kilometers on gravel. Like, kudos to them, it's insane. The shortest one is 40K.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an interesting sport, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's us for the month.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Kelly?
I just have, your worship, one addition to mine. The calcium chloride is gonna be here Thursday to do the road past our spots to the Haymaker, the Seniors Road, and from the cemetery to the end of Frontier. So all parties have been notified. They showed up last week, but they didn't realize that the county building in Thorsby is ours, but it still registers on their map as a county building. So anyway, we got this tanker pulling up and going, hi, you're on county building, this is Thorsby's. But anyways, 8 a.m. they're starting Monday, so, Thursday this week, so that's it. Good news.
Do they wet the road first before they put that down, or do you know how it?
No, what has to happen, we needed a day's, head start. So what Chris has to do tomorrow is, from the church to the Haymaker grade that road to scarify up the rocks, because the calcium chloride adheres to the rocks and makes it better depth control. And then he has to do that past the Seniors Street there, and then he'll have to do it from the graveyard past TSI to the end of Frontier at that intersection there. And it's just a case of grading and just getting the rocks so that it'll hold the product. So he'll do that tomorrow, and he'll be here to shut the dust down on Thursday.
I had just seen on Ladue County roads, I was traveling, and there was a water truck spraying, and then I think they were putting the calcium chloride on after that, so I just thought, is that the process? But I didn't stay present long enough to see how it all went, but.
Yeah, it's easier if we gravel. The last time we did it in town here, when we first got here, remember we had complaints of stuff running down the street?
Well, that's why I'm wondering if it's supposed to be dampened so it will absorb better, rather than just run off.
No, what we did wrong, for lack of a better word other than wrong, is we didn't scarify the gravel streets. So in other words, loosen them up a
Is
bit.
it really pulled to the edges?
Yeah, and the gravel keeps it in, and it adheres to the gravel and makes a better fix. We had one operator that put it on too thick, the other one too thin, but we didn't know at the time. We were supposed to get the grader out there and work up the street, so it'll be different this time.
All right,
Thank you, Your Worship.
okay, motion to accept the city reports, rental,
Sure.
on favor, carried. All right, CFO report, CFO Cindy.
Hello. In the month of May, I assisted the finance clerks with property tax notices, and they were mailed out on May 16th. I completed the pension annual documentation requirements. Submitted the property tax info to the provincial government. I liaised with tax service regarding tax arrears and auction dates. I attended the bulk water station kickoff meeting, approved payables and distributed EFT payments, processed payroll, did weekly staff meetings, resident consultations, worked on information requests, and there were 0 shut-offs in the month of May. Outstanding utilities at the end of May, $68,175.66, of which $3,600 is subject to cutoff. Outstanding taxes, just over $1.6 million, of which $77,000 is up for tax recovery and almost $97,000 is from 2024 tax notices. Our operating accounts, $524,000 as compared to $832 last year. Our savings account stays the same at 1.1 compared to 1.4 last year, and our line of credit is at 0 as compared to 200 and almost 33,000 last year. So no interest this year.
Yeah, see, so it can be done.
It can be.
Yes, thank you for that.
Where have you gone?
Okay, questions for Cindy, anybody?
No, hopefully we gained interest rather than pay interest, so that's all.
Oh yeah, we are. We are. Oh, and I did look up the garbage contract, and it is done at the end of September.
Awesome,
Okay.
thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, motion to accept CFO report, please.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? That's carried. All right, the correspondence, the 10.1, the Luke Regional Housing Foundation, 2024 annual report. Just in here for information, unless anybody wants to make some comments on it, Donna or Corey, you know?
No, just the one thing I was gonna mention is the QR code at the bottom is supposed to actually go to like a more detailed version of the financial. It used to be, 20 pages long and nobody would wanna read it because it was like a book. So this was supposed to be a quick snapshot of things, and then the QR code is supposed to take you to the actual in-depth financials for the odd person who's keen, but it actually just takes you to a digital copy of the exact same for some reason. So I will mention that when I go to my next meeting there, but if anybody has particularly an interest and needs to see them, I'm sure I can find it for you, so.
I was wondering why it was so short, and then everyone's trying to do it.
Yeah, like it's in previous years and this year, it's supposed to go to the big long form of all the annual financial stuff like it would normally have included in years past when it was like a book, so.
Yeah, that's just like, short.
All right.
So if it's short, people actually, look at it.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure enough. I have no comments, Your Worship.
No comments?
No.
All right, motion to accept the correspondence for information.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Carried. Perfect. Okay, so coming into the public comments, who wants to go first?
Yeah, I would like to just make one comment, Kelly, in regards to the May long weekend. It was just a super time. Everybody enjoyed themselves. It was kind of cold for the beer garden, but they survived somehow.
It's funny how they do that.
Oh, and the second thing is the CFAP grant. We in the Historical Society are also going to be applying for a CFAP. We had Audrey at our meeting yesterday from the company.
Okay.
And discussed how to do that, and she's more than willing to help us. And, are we just allowed to do a CFAP for one organization, or can 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different projects happen at the same time? Multiple?
Yeah,
That's good.
like, because we're different.
Yeah, but I just thought it was like community facilities enhancement grant just for the community, that was it. But if we can do smaller ones for the total. And, it was great. We plan to have a cornhole tournament prior to Christmas. Somewhere along the way, we decided not to have anything this May long weekend because we just wanted to take a break and relax and enjoy the festivities. So that was great. And, it was a fun time for the month of May.
Good. Thank you for that. Anybody else back there?
I have a question regarding the RCMP. I was gonna try and talk to the officer that attended the last meeting, but you guys were involved in your meeting, so I didn't want to interrupt it. But we have a detachment here. I understand what Donna and Cindy are talking about, the credits and stuff. Why is there not more of a physical appearance in the community?
So we don't get a say in it.
I'm getting.
Purely because we don't get a say in it, that's why. It's provincial mandates, it's provincial, they're hired by the province to enforce provincial law. We don't get a say, we just get a bill.
Yep.
We've complained about that and many other things many times. They politely tell you to mind your own business.
Right now, I think only one of the members is in town. There might be one in Anchorage, the lady, she lives on an acreage out of town, but the rest of them are like Leduc, or most of them are half.
Yeah, no, I get that, Darryl. The thing that I'm getting feedback from a lot of people is, like with the loud mufflers and the kids booting around town and stuff.
I hear them too.
And I get it, if the police don't physically see them, they don't stop them. But, like, that's the majority, like, when I'm out talking to people right now, is the loud mufflers in town are just getting ridiculous. You know, like, I've got a block where it's almost all seniors on there, and right at the school zones.
No, I hear them in my backyard as well, and if they happen to come my way, I will stop them. But,
I've done that down at the school grounds. Yeah. But I'm saying up and down that frickin' highway, like, it's.
All I can say is that, you know, when we get our new CPO, well, the help right now, we're without one, so that doesn't help the situation.
And they can only work to a certain time of night anyway, a CPO, they can't work all night like an RCMP member.
Well, but the RCMP don't actively work through the night either way.
The next time when they come here? Like,
That's a good question, yeah.
Is there something you guys can physically do?
Yeah. We can
Like, I get it, they're limited and they're out in here, but we have a detachment here.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm getting a lot of feedback from, like, we have a detachment here, and it's like, they jump in the trucks and they bugger off. I know they're not doing that.
Especially right now, what's gonna happen right now with the lake season coming up.
Yeah.
You've got a population of 100,000 people out there probably for the summer, or maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, I don't know, Kelly, how many there is, but there's a large population, and, anything on the north side of the lake, they have to look after it.
And a lot of the summer villages, not a lot, but some of the summer villages pay for enhanced services,
Yep.
and that comes out of the time at our detachment, right? It's not like they're hiring necessarily extra officers, they're taking the officers they have and allocating more hours to the places that are paying for the enhanced services.
So we're kind of on the bottom.
So my question is, could the town of Thorsby ask for enhanced services?
As soon as everyone wants to pay more taxes,
Yeah.
it's all just dollars and cents, yeah.
And I can tell you too, with experience with enhanced services, so it's about 160 or 75,000 roughly for an enhanced RCMP member, roughly. I'm just giving you a ballpark figure. So what happens is, let's say we want that enhanced RCMP member for the town of Thorsby only. That's typically what is requested. Guess what happens? They're a member of the detachment. Guess where they go?
Wherever they're told, yeah.
Wherever they're told.
Wherever the staff sergeant dictates.
So now we're paying an extra 150 or 60,000 for more enforcement in the county.
I don't know if you've noticed at Genesee there, by the plant there's a big presence there all the time, and they are paying, I think that's the figure they even told us here, wasn't it, $250,000? So that's where they're going over there.
Okay, I get it, and I understand what Sam's saying, but I'm saying, like, you've got a pretty good reporter.
Yep.
With them.
Yep.
Like, to even just have the conversation.
No,
like,
we can certainly have that conversation, yeah.
you know.
And we have in the past, and I feel like it actually has improved from what it was, and I agree, it's still not what it should be or could be, but it actually has gotten somewhat better. They have actually, just at a local, just conversation level, been receptive to those sorts of requests to some extent, but again, at the end of the day, they're gonna say, well, I only have so many members, and they have a lot of territory to cover. Right, that is ultimately the end of the day for them too, right? They're gonna say, well, we have from Leduc to, the foothills, and from the river to the lake, and, it's a lot of miles in between, and only so many people, right, so.
And I get that, Corey, I feel a little, when you have the officer come in and he does his report, that's great, that's cool and everything, and he's being part of the community, but what you're reading off that report doesn't really reflect what's happening in
Oh,
town.
I hear it, I know exactly what you're talking about, it's not lost on me, I hear it in my backyard as well, so.
They're assisting us with a couple of criminal code offenses right now, but then that's criminal code, so that's what they're authorized to do. They expect our community peace officers to do all the bylaw stuff and all the most of the provincial, appointments that are part of, an authorized employer status. So, but there's no criminal code stuff, right? So, but we did get an ATV impaired. Pasquale got an ATV impaired a week ago, so that was good.
My concern is more open noise,
Yeah, I know.
you know? Like, I got no problem with backing up the truck and stopping you, but I'm saying, like you hear it, and it's the seniors, right? You know, like, that's a big thing.
Well, we'll certainly,
That's a big thing.
we'll look into it a little more.
But yeah, feel Chris.
Yeah.
And there's a non-emergency line and a complaint line, isn't there, that you could call?
Yeah, that's kind of a waste of time, no? I'm putting it out there.
And you can start somewhere there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I mean, squeaky wheel gets greased.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if a bunch of people call, maybe they might change their attitude.
But there's priorities.
Spitball.
Yeah, there's just sort of priorities, like, I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, sort of.
I just find it a little upsetting.
Go ahead.
I want to compliment the repaving. Looks good. But I assume they didn't do the long one because it's building on the inside.
That's correct.
Okay.
Once that's all done, they have to pave in the surfaces.
Okay. And they did great the alleys because they did ours.
Yes, they did.
But this is probably not the right place to ask this or bring up this concern. But about a week ago, I was driving down 50th Avenue, maybe around noon hour. This sports car came up behind me, I was doing the limit. He was going, I know he was gonna go fast, and he was going a little fast. I pulled over so he went by, and he went by, I'm sure 80 to 100. I couldn't see the license plate. I know where he parked. He parked at West Tower, but I don't think he's an employee, because I haven't seen the car there since, but I was too scared to go over and take a picture. Who do we call? Like, if there was a kid or an animal could have come out on 50th Avenue and it would have been smacked.
Yeah, in that case, if the CPO's here and on duty, once they get here, you would call
But
us.
he can't
you
do
call
anything
us.
without a plate, and I was too scared to get up.
No, that's okay. You've got it's a small town. Sometimes if you have a description of the vehicle, if it's an orange car or whatever, I think I know the
It was
car
very
you're
red,
talking about.
and GMC, but Chevy, but I couldn't tell if it was Camaro or Corvette. But I thought, wow, but to drive that fast, like, you know, you could have hurt somebody.
I think I know who you mean. You don't
I
necessarily
haven't
have
seen
to have
it
a
again,
license
but
plate.
if I hadn't pulled over, he would have,
Yeah,
I don't know what he would have did. I
Yeah.
just have a little car.
yeah, no, it's understood. Worst comes to worst, you just stay in your car and dial 911 and say, look, this guy just about took me out.
Well, I pulled over and he went,
Yeah.
and then I went home, but he parked just before I went home.
Mhm.
Because you know where I parked.
Well, they get home and then it wasn't me.
Well, I couldn't tell who it was, but I'm sure it wasn't you.
No.
But
No.
I can't see you driving around in front.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, you can see her.
I did a lot of things before Facebook. Maybe it was Sam's truck. He was
See, I don't know, she's a little long, I think she fit into most sports cars, so that's why I know it wasn't Donna, she's too tall.
Yeah, I
But
can't
it was
think.
just, you know,
Yeah, no, I
and
think,
there's kids that walk on the,
yeah, thanks for sharing that, and,
well, I'm just fearing for others because, you know, I'm okay in the car, but I've seen lots of children walk up that
Mm-hmm.
one side of the street, like the side, while mechanicals on.
Yeah.
Kids walk on that street.
yeah, for sure.
I think what we'll do is I'll discuss it with, Staff Sergeant Gilchrist and discuss it in a way that maybe we can get a joint forces operation going here. I'll give details on it, some thoughts in my mind that I could suggest to her, and we'll just do a little stinging. That's all I'll say.
Is our new CPO gonna be more aggressive? Like the last guy, he was good, great, no problem, but he was more into educating.
That's what we wanted for a while.
Well, and I feel like, it's not an absolute requirement, but it's the direction by the Solicitor General that we need to take such an approach and be a little soft. And if we're too hard and end up going to court, we end up spending a lot of money trying to, enforce $200 fines. So even if we're too aggressive, it just costs us money.
Yeah, but I'm not saying being aggressive, like, it's up to council to turn around and talk to the CPO and say, you're doing it or you're not doing it, you're gonna educate or you're
No,
not.
it's Solicitor General at a certain point.
Solicitor General and me. Usually, with the new bylaw, Kevin, we give a 90-day education period. If we're changing traffic lanes and all that, it's usually a 60-day. I know Dan wrote quite a few traffic tickets, for sure, and there's no quota, it's just what he sees. The new candidate, I know pretty well. And there'll be a little change. We set the service levels for the CPO in town.
And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, we do, I do. Then we just monitor, and then they work in conjunction very closely with the RCMP. So when I talk about a joint force operation, usually RCMP, sheriff, since that, it's a collaboration. We might just do that this summer. I'll talk to staff gatherers. We already have something on the go now. I can't talk about it at all, but let's just say there's already something ongoing here, so.
Do we have like this car wash thing or?
There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's, a lot of rural crime watch has it. It is, it's a case of people wanting to drive around at night, and, usually on the weekends, or usually in the summer. The RCMP are aware of it. They have a radio. There's funds have to be expended by the town for fuel and that sort of thing. What I find sadly is that if nothing happens for a month on end, people get a little tired of driving around. And as soon as they quit driving around, all the activity happens again, right? That's just typical. So, I know there was a Lions at one time wanted to restart it. They were kind of thinking about it. So maybe talk to the Lions Club, Wendy, and talk to Mercedes King and see if they want to do it again. The town has no objection to that. We just have to know ahead of time. So, council can approve and the CFO can look at budgeting, right?
Well, it's just an RCMP and CBO can do so much.
Yeah, and Councilor Corey was right. I grew up in a small town. You always knew when the RCMP went to bed, 3 a.m., that was shift change.
That's what happens with these loud guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a window at night that's not a secret to any of the kids that are out doing whatever they're doing, that they can do whatever they want, and it's a 4-hour response, and they know it.
We knew it too. So we come in from the country, right, and just have a ride, and we never heard anything back then, but we were playing a lot of tag with vehicles.
So I wish that wasn't so, but it is just the kind of the reality that's kind of out of our hands.
Yeah, we knew when they went to bed.
All right, thanks for that. And, anybody else, Donna, you got your workers here, you got something planned here?
I do for
Enclosed.
enclosed.
Oh, for enclosed,
Yeah.
okay, got
You
it.
bet.
Maybe you could, introduce the new gentleman.
The new guy?
Yeah.
The new gentleman? I'd like you all to come to the side. This is like you all to meet Cole. Hey, Doug. Cole's been with us a week now, almost, and we're really excited. We put him to work, made him do all sorts of stuff. He'll be probably looking after the summer students this summer, because he used to be a summer student here, so Cole. And we're happy to have him. We've got a really good team. Chris has been promoted to Public Works Manager, Casey's been promoted to lead hand, and Cole's been promoted to babysit summer students. So we're really pleased. We're really pleased to have you, Cole. Seriously, anything you want to say, Cole? Oh, great.
I'm super excited to be a part of the team and be seeing Thorsby grow and all the changes and all stuff that happens day to day behind the scenes in the town. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got.
That's okay. You'll know Cole right away because he wears big brown overalls. You can't miss him.
We do put a ball and chain on him, so
Yeah, that's my Guido's brother. That's how I runs.
Love your hearts.
Yeah, he is relative, yeah.
We wouldn't let him work in Calgary. That was taboo. We had to come.
We're glad to have you. Thank you very much. You guys' arms sore from all that rotor tilling?
I think we've recovered by now. Yeah. But glad I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've got a fabulous crew of Public Works, we really do, and, we got our administration is pretty much complete. We've got a great administration and a great team, and, we're really proud to be, all together and partner for looking after Thorsby.
And it's supposed to rain on Thursday, so
It
the
is.
seeds will grow.
Supposed to.
Well, I hate to tell you, but the forecast is almost a week.
Rain for a week,
Okay.
that's even better.
They changed
Even
the
better.
range moved up, you mean?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, week of rain.
Yeah.
Depends who the weatherman is.
All right, well, thank you, guys. We'll take a 10-minute, recess here, and then we'll come back in camera. So,
All right.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.